Companies on the bottom line are going to say, like, I need to spend a certain amount of money to find these security vulnerabilities and fix them. So how much should I spend? It's very hard to measure which software is secure and which software isn't. An end user can't really tell the difference. And because of that, the companies are not motivated, they're not incentivized to spend a lot of money on security. And so we end up where we are now, which is a situation where, like, basically all our code has vulnerabilities. How does someone like me find vulnerabilities in software? Well, there's a couple approaches. One is statically. So maybe I just like read the source code, right? Another way that your teams can look for vulnerabilities in your software is through tools. So these tools might be like open source tools, they might be commercial tools. Another way is, besides just looking at code, you can actually just run the code and try to find problems. Hopefully between those two methods and sending enough resources, enough people, you can find a lot of vulnerabilities. I found a way that a malicious app on the App Store could download unsigned code and run it, which should not be possible. And so what I did was like, okay, well, I'll submit that app before I tell you, and I'll see if you catch it. So I had this app InstaStock in the Apple Store for a couple months, and anyone who downloaded it, it would try to download unsigned code again. It wouldn't actually do that. I reported this to Apple like a good guy I am, and I told them, hey, you have this bug. It allows me to circumvent code signing. You should fix it. They did fix it. It was an interesting bug. It was like one line of code, but you know, one line of code is important. Basically, in your car, like, this is the inside of my Jeep. There's this like big computer in the middle that does like navigation and radio and air conditioning and all that kind of stuff. And like, you know that's a computer. But it turns out in your car, there's not just that one computer. There's like 40 computers in your car, and they're all talking to each other all the time. But the one that has the vulnerability I'm going to tell you about, because again, like there was a vulnerability in the iPhone, there's a vulnerability in Jeep. There's vulnerabilities in everything. It's just a matter of what you do with them. So the vulnerability is actually in this head unit, this thing that is like your radio and all that kind of stuff. So some of the things you could do at this point, like I wasn't at this point controlling like the break-in or something. I was just running code on the head unit. So things you could do is like ask the head unit, what's your GPS coordinates? And it would tell you. And so I had this program that would just map out where the person was driving. So that was just through the Wi-Fi interface, but then it was like, well, can we do this like anywhere? It turned out you could. But at this point, we're still only changing the radio station and stuff. It's not really a big deal. So it's like, well, can we talk to the other computers in the car? Can we make like the brakes do something or the steering do something? My buddy Chris is driving. He's trying to stop the car. He's pressing the brakes as hard as possible, but as you can see, we're still actually moving. We spent another year to figure out if you could do things while you were driving fast. And it turns out that you can do lots of things to the car, even while you're driving fast. And again, this could all be done remotely. Any software that takes input from the outside world, whether it's a phone or a computer or a car, like there's going to be vulnerabilities in that. You just have to try to design a system that is resilient to that. Like, okay, fine, you attack my head unit in my car and you can change the radio station, that's fine, but don't touch my brakes, right? Or if you can attack an app on my phone, but you can't steal my pictures, right? So you have to try to think about, like, there's going to be vulnerabilities, and how do you design systems to be resilient to that? As you add more features to things like phones or cars or whatever, it makes like a bigger attack surface, and that's just more possibilities for attack to happen. And in the worst case, like it's okay to have someone steal your emails, but if they're starting to affect your physical safety and security, like this is a whole other issue that we need to really worry about and think hard about how we can protect against that. So in general, like we need to all work together and talk to our vendors and talk to the people who make the products we use and tell them that we care about security and that we want them to do a better job than they we're doing right now.